Hmm. Hi, Crazy
Believer.
Jane. Welcome.
Guys, welcome to Chapter 7. This is part 2 of 3 in the book of Boundaries. This one is titled Boundaries in Your Family. This is a
Hmm.
very deep one in a sense where we may not realize the things that we're doing and how that we sometimes give power to certain family members than we more than we actually realize. All right, well, I'm going to start off on page 130, Dina.
Okay.
Brief little story about Susie. Susie had a common problem. She had made choices on the outside. She had moved away from the family she grew up with in pursuit of a career of her own.
Welcome, Ben.
She had been paying her own bills. She even got married and had a child. But on the inside,
Welcome, Ben.
things were different. She did not have emotional permission to be separate. She did not have permission to be a separate emotional person. Make free choices about her life or not feel guilty when she did not do what her parents wanted. She could still yield to pressure. Well, that's my spot.
You're right. Right before the signs of lack of the boundaries,
Gotcha.
the last chapter, the real problem in the
Gotcha.
inside. You're welcome.
And excuse me, that sound kind of threw me off a little bit. And she felt
Yeah.
guilty at times, and she didn't do what her parents.
Oh.
Eric, you okay, Eric?
Well,
It sounded
I'm
like
good.
you're
What is
playing in a sandbox or something. I don't know.
that?
I was having to reposition myself.
Okay, just checking. I thought the cat was scratching up my microphone again. Sorry.
Welcome, PPG.
Okay, she did not have emotional permission to be a separate person. Didn't have the permission to make free choices about her life and did not feel guilty when she did not do what her parents wanted. She could still yield to pressure. The real problem is on the inside. Remember, boundaries define someone's property. Susie and others like her do not really own themselves. That's a pretty bold statement. Susie and others like her do not really own themselves. People who own their lives do not feel guilty when they make choices about where they are going. They take other people into consideration when they make these choices. But when they make these choices for the wishes of others, they are choosing out of love, not guilt, to advance a good, not to avoid being bad. What do you think, Eric or Dina? Out of love, we choose
No, I
these things.
just, yeah.
Like,
No, I just thought that when that how it said people who own, I just own their own lives. They don't feel guilty then when they make those choices and say no. For instance, when they're able to say no, I cannot do that, because of they don't even have to give an excuse. They just need to say no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And then they don't feel guilty because of it. They shouldn't feel guilty because of it.
yeah. Because you shouldn't have to feel
We're
guilty
talking
or
about the
needy.
book Boundaries.
Other signs of lack of boundaries. There's some common signs of lack of boundaries with the family we grew up in. This one's labeled catching the virus. I think second paragraph.
Yeah.
The family of origin has the power to affect your new family in a trickle-down effect. One sure sign.
And just for,
Yeah.
sorry, Mike,
No, it's
just
okay.
so you guys know, the family of origin means they're talking about your family, your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, all that, your blood, your family. Them.
Yeah. A common scenario is this. One spouse doesn't have a good emotional boundary with the family he or she grew up in. He or she's family of origin. Then when they have contact with them by phone or in person, they become depressed, argumentative, self-critical, perfectionist, angry, combative, or withdrawn. It is as though we catch something from our family of origin and pass it on to our new immediate family. This family of origin has the power to affect your new family in a trickle-down effect. One sure
Mhm.
sign of boundary problems is when your relationship with one person has the power to affect your relationships with others. That's deep. You are giving
Yeah, it really
one
is.
person way too much power in your life.
Control. Mhm.
Man,
Welcome, Jenna.
that I am way too familiar with that. I
Yeah, I think we all can. It could be.
I had a
I know if I
severe
am.
boundary problem with the ex. I mean, I had no fence on. I didn't even have property, I guess. I mean, I was so dependent on making sure she was okay with my decisions, and it just left me open for everything else, I guess.
And then it affects your relationships in other ways too,
Right.
is what it's saying. You know, when you have that boundary that you can't control, then it affects everything else. It's the trickle down effect. Like it said, it affects everything else.
It's like a slow progression, I guess. It's like a
Mhm.
slowly you build to boundaryless life and having no defense, basically. You know, fascinating. You are giving
Mhm.
one person way too much power in your life. That is catching the virus type scenario. Next one is called Second Fiddle.
Second fiddle.
What do you think, Dana Joe? Should we be able to take some calls now, or just keep reading? What do you think?
I think we should read a little bit more. I mean, there's a lot to get through before. Yeah, there's a lot to get through.
Second Fiddle. You wouldn't believe how she is with him, Dan said. She totally focuses. This is a story to, I guess, to illustrate. You wouldn't believe how she is with him, Dan said. She totally focuses on his every wish. When he criticizes her, she tries harder, and she practically ignores me. I'm tired of being the second man in her life. Dan wasn't talking
Welcome,
about
Elmer.
Jane's lover. He was talking about her father. Dan was tired of feeling like Jane cared more about her father's wishes than his. This is a common sign of lack of boundaries. With the family of origin, the spouse feels like he gets leftovers. He feels as if his mate's real allegiance is to her parents. This spouse hasn't completed the leaving before cleaving process. She has a boundary problem. Leaving before cleaving. God has designed the process whereby a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Genesis 2:24. The Hebrew word for leave comes from the root word that means to loosen or to relinquish or to forsake. For marriage to work, the spouse needs to loosen her ties with her family of origin and forge new ones with the new family she has and is creating through marriage. Wow. Amazing. Excuse me. This does not mean that the husband and wife shouldn't have a relationship with their extended families, but they do need to set clear boundaries with their families of origin. Many marriages fail because one partner fails to set clear boundaries with the family of origin, and the spouse and children get leftovers. What's up, Mark? That's very true. That's why the fathers give them away. It's an act of, hey, she's now yours. She's no longer I no longer need to be her security in a sense. And I'm not looking forward to that day, Dina Joe. Oh man, I am petrified of that day, but I know by then I'll
I'm
be
sure.
grown up enough, I guess. Yeah, my little girl. I don't want to think about it. Sorry. The next one's May I Have My Allowance, Please? Is the name of this next boundary in your family conflict. Brief story. Terry and Sherry were an attractive couple. They owned a big house and went on lavish vacations. Their children took piano lessons and ballet, and they had their own skis, rollerblades, ice skates, and cool stuff. They had all the trappings of success, but there was one problem. This lifestyle was not supported by Terry's paycheck. Terry and Sherry received much financial help from his family. Terry's family had always wanted the best for him. Of course they did. And they had always helped him get it. They had contributed to the house, to the vacations, and the children's hobbies. While this allowed Terry and Sherry to have things they could not otherwise have, it cost them dearly as well.
Hi, Coltrane.
Yeah, I know some people who, had the fortunate their family supported them by buying a lot of stuff, and then in the end it left them in a deficit, not being able to do it on their own. What's up, Coltrane?
Well, not only that, I mean, they're always bailed out. They're always relying on their family, and I would feel kind of obligated then. That would be my issue there. I would feel obligated to them because they are always bailing me out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you feel that they're so dependent on you, and if you fall short, it's going to hurt them. It is really like a really bad scenario.
Trickle down effect.
Yep.
Another
Trickle
one.
down. Here's some money poured on. This is a common boundary problem for young adults today, both married and single. Excuse me. This illustrates a common boundary problem for young adults today, both married and single. He was not yet an adult financially. He could not set boundaries on his parents' desire for him and his wife. Have everything we have, also found that he had so fused with her ideas of success that he had trouble saying no to these wishes in himself. Let me say that again. Hold on. The desire for him and her, or Terry and Sherry, to have everything they want. They also found that they had fused with their ideas of success that they had trouble saying no to these wishes that they all had. He wasn't sure he wanted to forsake the gifts and handouts for a greater sense of independence. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the last paragraph is really, really kind of heavy. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult who does not stand on his own financially is still a child. To be an adult, you must live within your means and pay for your own failures.
Come on.
Whoa,
no
slap.
way. That makes
Heavy.
no sense.
Come on.
Hold on.
Put your big girl panties on and grow up.
Hold on.
You know?
An adult who does not stand on their own financially is still a child? In the chat,
yeah.
Give me 1 for yes or 2 for no.
I mean, that was kind of like, whoa, that's heavy. It's true, but it's heavy. I mean, to say that,
it really is.
You know?
It's like, damn, why you gotta
it's
talk
eye-opening.
to me? Like, why you gotta say that to me like that? Kind of thing. It's like, wow, what did I do to you? Like, yeah, it's one of those things, man. To be an adult, you must live within your means. Pay for your own failures. Oh man, Mom, where are my socks? Is title on this one. And the perpetual child syndrome, a person may be financially on their own, but always his family of origin to perform certain life management functions. The adult child often hangs out with mom and dad's house. Their vacation, he goes on vacations with them, drops off laundry, and eats many meals there. He is mom's or dad's closest confidant, sharing everything with them.
Welcome at it, family.
At 30-something, he hasn't found his career niche, and he has no savings, no retirement plan, no health insurance, nothing. On the surface, these things do not appear to be serious problems, but often, mom and dad are symbolically keeping their adult child from emotionally leaving home. Now that says a lot. Keeping
Yeah.
their adult child from emotionally leaving home.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
they're not teaching them. They're not having them be ready to be thrown out there in the real world. What's going to happen if tomorrow mom and dad, God forbid, get in a car crash and they die? Something happens to them. And then this son or daughter has no idea on how to live on their own.
Right. They never had that
That's
burden.
a scary thought.
It is. They never had the burden, never been able to deal with paying bills or having to make sure you work extra hours and to be able to get bills paid and still have no money, for anything else, but to just survive, just to make paycheck to paycheck and not know how to struggle. It's debilitating to somebody that's, I don't like to say spoiled, because I don't think it's spoiled. It's just a lack of boundaries. It really is. It's not. Yeah, it's something else. These often happen in friendly, loving families where things are so nice it's hard to leave. Psychologists often refer to this as the I'm on page 133, middle.
Yes, embellished
Enmeshed
family.
family. Wow, a big word, family. One in which the children do not separate with clear boundaries. They're not able to. They don't know any boundaries, obviously, and it does not look like a problem because everyone gets along so well. The family is very happy with one another. However, the adult-child, other adult relationships they have are dysfunctional. They may choose black sheep friends and lovers. They may be unable to commit to a member of the opposite sex or a career. So commitment is a side effect. I got out of that one. Commitment is something they can't commit. Fascinating. Yeah, I'm starting to relearn some of this stuff again. Like read this years ago, and I guess forgot about it. Commitment problems. Commitment problems stem from having a really nice family that always paying for stuff, and you're not having to bear a burden, right? Does that kind of make sense on that one?
Yeah.
Three's a crowd is the next one.
Three's a crowd.
This is a boundary conflict within your family.
Welcome, Tuddles.
Hi, Tuddles. This is a hard one. This one is one that I've had that you're kind of brought into all the time. So this is a good one.
Let's do it. I'm diving in. Hey, Tuddles. Three's a card.
Hi, B. Holmes.
Excuse me. Three's a crowd. Dysfunctional families dysfunctional families are known for certain types of boundary problems called triangulation. Not strangulation, triangulation. It goes something like this. A person A is angry at person B. Person A does not tell person B. Person A calls person C. And gripes about person B. Person C enjoys person A's confidence and listens to whenever person A wants to play the triangle game. So there's three apparently in this one, A, B, C, and there's sounds like a triangle. By this time, person B, feeling lonely, calls C and is passing. And in passing mentions the conflict with A. So person C becomes the confidant of B as well as A. Persons A and B have not resolved their conflict, and C has two friends. Are you following me down
C's
there?
in the middle.
Yes. In there. ABC 1, 2, 3. Coltrane says, no, I'm not going to say that out loud. Okay, triangulation is a failure to resolve conflict between two persons and the pulling in of a third to take sides. This is a boundary problem because the third person has no business in the conflict. Say that again. But is used for but they are used for comfort and validation by the ones who are afraid to confront each other. So the two don't want to confront the issue or talk about it, so they have person A has a confidant.
They drag somebody else in.
Yeah, and then it's like three's
that
a
has
crowd.
No reason being there. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is titled Three is a Crowd, and yes, it is. It's like having three wheels on a car. Wait a minute, I think they have those. So
it just says this is how conflicts persist, and this is how people change and enemies are made unnecessarily, because you just brought in that third person that doesn't have any business being in your stuff. A and B need to figure it out. They're the ones that need to talk to each other instead of bringing other people in to say, be on my side, pick me,
A and B need to see their way out of that problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. I made a new joke. What happens in the triangle is that people speak falsely. What happens in the triangle is that people speak falsely, covering up their hatred with nice words and flattery. Person A is usually very cordial, nice, and even complimentary to B in person. But when A talks to C, there's a fight. So
yeah,
that is three.
Thank you, Jess. Sorry about that, Elmer.
Boundaries. When to say yes and how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Jess. So,
yes.
Anything more?
And it really is true. I mean, I think, this is a huge one for me because I get pulled in all the time in this type of a situation, and I've just recently learned to say no. I'm not going to get involved. I don't want to hear, unless what you're going to tell me is going to help fix the issue or uplift that other person. I don't want to hear it, because all you're trying to do is get me to be upset with that person. I don't want to be a part of that. I have too much trauma in my life already. I don't need any extra. So yeah, I think that's one that a lot of people do just out of, you kind of want somebody to feel your pain and to say, yes, you're right, that person was wrong. And you can't do that.
Yeah, I agree. I did that to my ex-wife with my dad.
Hi, Joey. Welcome.
So me, I went, and my C was my dad. So I, would complain and speak falsely to my dad about the ex, and and she would, and my dad would always be at ends with each other. Or no, was I B? No, excuse me. I was B. She was A. Because B and C were talking, right? Yeah. So,
yes.
So, when A would talk, when she would talk to my dad, they would not, he would know things, and, basically was just talking about her behind her back, and that, it undermined her character, because she's truly an amazing person. She's got a good heart. She's a great mother.
Mm-hmm.
And, I gave her a bad name. Because I was angry and I didn't have proper boundaries in that relationship, and it was very...
Hi, Christopher. Brandon West, welcome.
Hence, she's my ex, so you can see the results of a failed boundary, and I can relate fully to that one.
We need to just be careful. We need to be so careful about, especially if we're angry with somebody, just don't get other people involved. But I do have to say, when it gets further along in the book, it talks about, or maybe even in this chapter, it talks about having a good set of people around you, a handful of people that are there to support you, that if you're able to talk to them for help, for instance, I guess you don't need to explain the whole situation to get them involved, but they're able to help you in a godly way, or they're able to help you with the situation and not get entwined in your stuff. Does that make sense? You have that supportive group, somebody there that supports you, but you're not there gossiping.
Right. They're being supportive and saying, hey, you need to go to them about that issue. You can't resolve or try to,
right.
Rational, to formulate something out of something, and they're not even in the conversation, and it's so they're not there to defend themselves. They're not there to actually tell their side or basically what the heck are you doing in this problem anyways kind of thing. It's like you don't belong here. That's why a dysfunction is created, and it is a let's see here. It results in calling another family member, and these they are very destructive patterns that keep people dysfunctional. You'll stay that way until you change it. The scripture is very serious about dealing with conflict directly with one you are angry with.
One another.
Proverbs. Oh, it is Proverbs. I knew it. Proverbs 28:23. He who rebukes a man will, in the end, gain more favor than he who has a flattering tongue.
Matthew 18:15 is really good too. If your brother sins against you, go and show him his fault just between the two of you. Just between the two of you.
Just between the two of us.
Yeah, don't get anybody else involved.
We don't get C involved. Yeah. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in his guilt. Leviticus 19:17. Thank you, Coltrane. Love you, brother.
Bye, Coltrane. Have a good day.
Whoa, Mark.
See you later, Coltrane.
Who's the child in here anyway? Is the next of the boundary complex in your family. Call-ins are welcome. Who's the child in here anyhow? Children should not have to save up for their parents, but parents should for their children. 2 Corinthians 14. Some people were born to take care of their parents. They did not sign up for this duty. They inherited it. Today we call these people codependent. Early in life, they learned that they were responsible for their parents, who were stuck in childish patterns of irresponsibility. When they became adults, they had a difficult time setting boundaries. When they became adults, they had a difficult time setting boundaries between themselves and their irresponsible parents. Every time they tried to have separate lives, they felt selfish. Indeed, the Bible does teach us about adult children who take care of their elderly parents. Give proper recognition to those widows who are really in need. But if a widow has children or grandchildren, these should learn first of all to put their religion into practice by caring for their own family and so repaying their parents and grandparents. That's pretty deep. So two problems generally come up. First, your parents may not be really in need. They may be irresponsible, demanding, or acting like martyrs. They may need to take responsibility for their own keepsakes. Second, they are really in need. You may not have clear boundaries to determine what you can give and what you can't give. You may not be able to limit your giving, and your parents' inability to adjust to old age, for example, will dominate your family. Such domination can ruin marriages and hurt children. A family needs to decide whether they want to give and what they do not want to give, so they will continue to love and appreciate that parent and not grow resentful. Good boundaries prevent resentment. It is good to give. Of course it is. Make sure, however, that it is a proper amount for your situation and resources. Kind of like ties in with the adult child. Adult. No, adult child. Yeah.
Yes.
Your discretion is advised. Boundaries, Episode 7, only on Mike Tampa Bay, starting now.
Any thoughts on that, Eric, Dena?
No, I think it's totally.
I'd bring my mom
true.
ice cream.
You can't give what you don't have.
Right.
Period.
Right.
If it's your mom or anybody else, and because they've put themselves in that situation in this instance. Not that you're saying I'm not going to help you because you were bad and you didn't take care of yourself. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you can't do it, do what you can do. And that's between you and your family. Like you said with your ex-wife, you had issues with the family getting involved and stuff. You have to only be able to do what you can do for your family.
And it kind of sucks, I used to hold a lot of guilt from it. 'Cause, my dad passed away, and it was pretty deep what he said to me before he passed, and it just I just couldn't see it, and it was it really sucked. But I had to forgive myself for that, and I had to go to her, and and it was just something that what lack of boundaries will do. You'll have a regret that can stay with you the rest of your life, and ultimately just not allow you to be able to put up any boundaries, be dysfunctional. So I guess acknowledging it and really forgiving yourself. I had to forgive myself because if my dad only really knew truly who she really was without me needing to bad talk her, who knows if it might have been different, but it doesn't matter now in a sense because, I forgive myself. That was the hardest thing to do, is to forgive that man in the mirror. Boy, he's a butthead. That man sometimes can be not nice to you, right?
No, yeah. There's those, the man in the mirror, the voices in your head, any of that stuff. You have to be able to forgive yourself.
Eric, you ever get voices in your head, the man in the mirror kind of issue? I think we all kind of deal with that.
Can't say for sure if I have.
Like you might feel like I don't feel good. I don't feel good about myself.
Some days are like that. Some days are better.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. Life is just hard, and anything will try to beat you down instead of trying to put you up. So yeah. That's so true, old man. Forgiveness begins in one's own heart.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
And same, I poured out a lot of built-up feelings to my dad when he was on life support. Yeah, you kind of have to maybe ask for forgiveness and get over that stuff so that you can forgive yourself.
That was very difficult for me to do. It took a long time. Yeah, I hear you, Mark. It was, I probably don't want to repeat what my dad said in a sense because I'll start getting, emotional, and I can't do that while I'm hosting. So, but yeah, it's just,
right.
So I'm going to move on from that because I don't want to start crying, Dena.
Okay. So we're at, but I'm your brother, or I'm your sister. Help me. Oh, did you want me to read? Or
no,
yeah.
You can go ahead and read. I was reading the comments in here.
Okay. So the next one we're going on to, it's called But I'm Your Brother. And it says, another frequent dynamic is the growing sibling relationship. An irresponsible adult child depends on a responsible adult sibling to avoid growing up and leaving the family. We are not talking about a truly needy sibling who has mental or physical impairments or disabilities. The irresponsible child continues to play the old family games well into adulthood. The tough issue here is the guilt and pressure you feel because it is your brother or your sister. I have seen people do totally crazy and unhelpful things to brothers and sisters that they would never do to their closest friends. Our families can tear us down or best build fences because they are our families. That's sad. Welcome, 123. But it's true.
Yeah, it is. We are not talking about a true needy sibling who has a mental or physical impairment. The irresponsible child continues to play old family games. That is very true.
Probably guest welcome.
But why do we do that, Dena Joe? Why in the world do we choose to continue these sorts of patterns? What is wrong?
Well, because we don't put up boundaries, because we tend to say, feel guilty. We have all those things when we say, okay, there's no reason for me to feel guilty. it's okay to put that boundary up because this person isn't growing up. They're being a child and they're not being responsible for themselves. Then it's okay to put that boundary up. I still love you, but I'm sorry, I can't help you anymore. It's time for you to do your thing.
Hold on. Ooh, I did a screenshot. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
That was dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done that on hosting before. Gotcha, Mark. I'll do that for you, sir. Time is 42:48 into the show, and Mark and page 136 bottom. Okay. Just saying that for the audio so I can remember to send that to you, Mark, when I'm checking it out. My brother.
Yeah, it's just talking about, too, it says boundaries are an essential aspect of growing up. We have to have boundaries in order when we're growing up. We have to. It's part of growing up.
Yeah. If we don't get them from a family of origin,
Mm-hmm.
our adult boundary problems persist. And they
Yep.
we just need to see our boundaries and define them. We got continuation of old boundary problems, in which it entails adoption. And there's a lot more in here on 7. You want me to go ahead and it's a continuation of old boundary problems, but on page 139, it got resolution of boundary problems with family. This goes on to actually some resolutions in some of these conflicts would help. Do you want to start there, or is there anything in the previous?
No, that's fine.
So this is boundary conflicts, boundaries, and your family. Resolution to boundary problems with family. Establishing boundaries with family of origin is a tough task, but one with great reward. It is a process with certain distinguishable steps. First, identify the symptom. Look at your own life situation and see whether boundary problems exist with your parents and siblings. The basic question is this: where have you lost control of your property? So first thing is identify the symptom. Where have you lost control of your property line, your boundaries? Identify those areas and see their connection with the family you grew up in, and you are on your way out. Second, identify the conflict. Discover the dynamic. Discover what dynamic is being played out. For example, what law of boundaries are you violating? Do you triangulate? Do you take responsibility for siblings or other parents instead of being responsible to them? Do you fail to enforce consequences and end up paying for their behavior? Are you passive and reactive toward them and the conflict? You cannot stop acting out a dynamic until you understand what you're doing. Take the log out of your own eye. Then you will be able to see clearly to deal with your family members. See yourself as the problem and find your boundary violations. The second one is the identify the conflict. Third, identify the need that drives the conflict. That is a big one. Identify the need that drives the conflict. You do not act in inappropriate ways for no reason. You are often trying to meet some underlying need that your family of origin did not meet. Maybe we are still entangled because of a need to be loved or approved of or accepted. You must face this deficit and accept that it can only be met in your new family of God. Those who are now your true mother and father, brothers and sisters. Those who do God's will and can love you the way He designed.
Hi, Q-Bella.
Hi, Q-Bella. That last part that you just read was kind of, it's eye-opening. I hear it all the time, but it was eye-opening for me to read it because it was saying, you don't have to, whatever those people cannot give you that you're searching for, you can get from God. And you're in that new family, the mother and brothers and sisters, like I said before, that you have there that are they able to support you.
Yeah, because we're constantly trying to get some underlying need that our mommy and daddy did not meet for us. I guess the lack of boundaries.
Exactly.
They weren't provided. So there is a need there. So identifying the need that drives the conflict. The need is what your mom and dad did not meet. Excuse me, I lost my place again. Bollocks. Maybe. So you must face this deficit and accept that it can only be met in your new family of God, those who are now your true mother, father, brothers, and sisters. Yeah, that's very, very true. Third, take in and receive the good. How hard is that, right, Dena? Take in and receive the good. It is not enough to understand your need. It's not enough. You must get it met. God is willing to meet your needs through his people, but you must humble yourselves. Reach out to a good support system and take in the good. Do not continue to hide your talent in the ground and expect it to get better. Learn to respond. Learn to receive love. Even if you're clumsy at first, don't give up. Seriously, don't give up. Receive some love from people who truly, truly care and without that. Practice boundary skills. Practice. You gotta practice to get good, right? Your boundary skills are fragile and new. You can't take them immediately into your difficult situation. Practice them in situations where they will be honored and respected. Begin saying no to people in your supportive group and who will love and respect your boundaries. So start saying no to people. Yeah. Begin saying no to people in your support group who will love and respect your boundaries. When you are recovering from a physical injury, you do not pick up the heaviest dirt bike like Kate and start going back again. You build up to the heavy stuff.
You start small.
Yes.
Yeah.
You rest, let it heal, as you would physical therapy. Say no to the bad. Say no. In addition to practicing new skills in safe situations, avoid hurtful situations. When you are in the beginning stages of recovery, you need to avoid people who have abused and controlled you in the past. Say it again. When you are in the beginning stages of recovery, you need to avoid people who have abused and controlled you in the past. When you think you're ready to reestablish a relationship with someone who has been abusive and controlling in the past, bring a friend or support along, or someone who can be there for you. Be aware of your pull towards hurtful situations and relationships. The injury you are recovering from is serious. Let me say that again. The injury you are recovering from is serious, and you can't reestablish a relationship until you have the proper tools. Be careful. This is like serious stuff. Be careful to not get sucked into a controlling situation again, because your wish for reconciliation is so strong.
Yeah, sometimes there is no reconciliation. Sometimes it's better to
avoid.
cut it off,
Yeah,
completely, depending on the situation. Sometimes it's just a better thing. Yeah.
This is what I've learned.
Forgiving the aggressor is, I'm sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead. I feel like I'm a chatty
I was just
cat.
looking at the next chapter.
This is huge.
I mean, the next thing is forgiveness of the aggressor, and this one was, I underlined it, and I just want to write it down and put it where I can see it. It talks about the boundaries. It talks about forgiveness. To forgive someone is meaning to let them off the hook or to cancel the debt he owes you. When you refuse to forgive someone, you still want something from that person, be it revenge, anything. But it says that keeps you tied to that person forever. Those words right there. It keeps you tied to that person forever.
And it will never go away. You're stuck with them.
Yeah.
Unless
you're stuck with them.
When you forgive somebody, it releases that debt, that power, that weight you feel you carry. Because when you truly forgive someone in your heart, you just say, you know what? It's the past. I love you. I forgive you. But, man, I even have to tell them at times. But refusing to forgive a family member is one of the main reasons people are stuck
for years, unable to separate from their dysfunctional families. They still want something from them. It is much better to receive grace from God, who has something to give, and to forgive those who have no money to pay back their debt. This ends your suffering, because in the end, the wish for repayment that is never forthcoming and that makes your heart sick because of the hope it differs. Proverbs 13:12.
That's a good one right there. It's This ends with your suffering, because it ends with the wish for repayment that is never forthcoming, and that it makes your heart sick. A sick heart is very bad. It really is. Like, I had it. And it makes your heart sick because your hope is deferred.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. It's toxic. Thank you, Mark. Toxic.
Yeah, that last chapter. If you do not forgive, you are demanding something your offender does not choose to give, even if it's only the confession of what they did. This ties him to you and ruins your boundaries. Lets the dysfunctional family you came from cut loose, and you will be free.
And free indeed. Respond. Don't react. When you react to something that someone says or does, you may have a problem with boundaries. If someone is able to cause havoc by doing or saying something, she is in control of you at that point, and your boundaries are lost. When you respond, you remain in control with options and choices. Who would have thought of that, Dena Jo?
Yeah, so you need to be more responding instead of reacting.
So what's the difference, right? Respond and react. If you feel yourself reacting, step away and regain control of yourself. Like if you get angry or upset when you're with that person, step away. Just walk away, kind of thing, and just recalibrate, get control, and don't. And so your family members can't force you to do or say something you don't want to do, or say something that violates your separateness. When you have kept your boundaries, choose the best option. The difference between responding and reacting is a choice. There it is. Respond, don't react. When you have kept your boundaries, choose the best option. Here's a definition. Respond, don't react. The difference between responding and reacting is choice. There's a choice. When you are reacting, they are in control. When you react, they have the power. When you respond, you have the power. That's key. That is a big one there.
Totally
That's
reacting.
Putting it in action right there. That's how we put an action to these conflicts. You know, talk is good, but until we start walking and not talking, you know. So, next one is learn to love in freedom and responsibility, not in guilt. Love in freedom, responsibility, not in guilt. The best boundaries are loving ones. The person who has to remain forever in a protective mode is losing out on love and freedom. 5 minutes. Boundaries is no way to mean to stop loving. They mean the opposite. You are gaining freedom to love. It is good to sacrifice and deny yourself for the sake of others. Sounds like my Lord and Savior, Jesus. But you need boundaries to make that choice. Practice purposeful giving to increase your freedom. Practice purposeful giving to increase your freedom. Sometimes people who are building boundaries feel that to do someone a favor is a codependent. Nothing is further from the truth. Doing good for someone when you freely choose to do it is boundary enhancing. That will reinforce
go ahead. I don't have a problem with that. I am a giver.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say something
Part
different.
Of who
I'm like,
I am.
Dena!
No.
You do it every morning.
That's something that I don't have a problem with at all. I feel like I'm a big giver. I only do for one reason, and the only reason is to make somebody happy. That's it. to put a smile on somebody's face.
Yes, you
I'll
do.
send them
You
something.
set
a
everyone's
card,
day
a little,
off on the right. You and the old man, Eric, you guys set it off on a good trajectory every morning with that show. It's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Practice.
I wasn't talking about the podcast, but I was talking about just being, giving, being a giver.
Oh my God, we read the whole entire part 2
We did.
of chapter
It's done.
7, ladies and gentlemen.
It's done.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was really crunching for time, and I hope nobody's
got
left
through.
with more questions. If please.
Yeah, please put it in the chat.
Yeah,
I mean, I
call
think
in.
trying.
If you're left with more questions, then maybe some thoughts and some.
And let's put the book in here.
What do you
again.
call
I know
it?
you messed it up for us. Thank you so much.
I'm going to go over identify your symptoms, guys. The resolution of boundary problems with your families. Identify the symptoms is 1. 2, identify the conflict. 3, identify the need that drives the conflict. 4, take in and receive the good. Practice your skills. 5. 6, say no to the bad. And 7, forgive the aggressor. Forgiveness. 8, respond, don't react. 9, learn to love in freedom and responsibility, not guilt. Very key. Eric, any shows upcoming this evening?
Well, coming up on Podbean Live, it's Tuesday, and we certainly invite friends to be on the lookout for, Cummins' Culture should he decide to do an impromptu episode. I don't know if it'll be this evening or one day this week, but definitely be on the lookout for him. And 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you have the Slightly Serious Show, which I will be joining this evening as usual. And also on at that same time as us is the Beans and Weenies Show with Scooter and Spanky, which I'm sure the old man and Dena Joe might be jumping in to see those two gentlemen. And definitely be on the lookout for Trice Talk to come back with some new episodes very soon. And tomorrow morning you will have the Ross Williams podcast. Should he go live, he'll start around 7. Podcast for Dean, Joe, and Eric is back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And also be on the lookout for the John DeVito Show should he do some shows this week. And also be on the lookout for the Frankie D Show, as well as be on the lookout for Maverick and Company on the Slacker 82 Alpha podcast. And be on the lookout for Talk Hard, also coming up tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, with Tuttles and Cubella Kate. And also be on the lookout for many more great friends like Torch the Poet and Laura and Lou's Communication Station, the It's Doomsday podcast, and Freedom Warrior, and a few more awesome podcast friends. 10 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. But I would always estimate 10 p.m. That'll, of course, give people time to get in there.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. Well, pleasure hanging out with y'all as always, and hopefully our good friend Robert will be back soon with new episodes of the Mr. Clean Show.
Mr. Clean.
And also names like Linga Longa and Chuck and Billy's Not Your Cup of Tea. Don't want to forget about them.
No.
Hopefully, Scooter and Spanky might collaborate with Chuck and Billy to do a big comedy show of them collaborating on both their shows.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I think that would be electric for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can talk them into it.
Right.
That would be good.
Yeah, who knows?
But look forward to episode 8 of Boundaries next week. But if there's also a subject that in Boundaries that we talk about, like money, I think I like one thing Susie Orman says: live below your means but within your needs. And hopefully we can find an audio clip for saying that.
That'd be cool. We'll get that. Dena, thank you. Eric, thank you. Dena, is there anything else you want to add before we close?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
this
you very much.
is
Thank you, everybody.
the beginning of part 2, chapter 7 on boundaries with the family. Boundaries and your family.
Thank you, Bella.
Next week will be chapter 8, boundaries and your friends. Thank you for joining. I'm going to end this show with a song.
Yes.
God bless you guys. Love you all.
Mm-hmm.
See you later.
Well,
See you later.
Lou Rock, Mark, Dark Howard 1964, Coltrane, Cubella Kate, The Old Man and Grammy, Maverick, Caps, Crazy King, Jess Duck, Ben Cran, Tuddles, Elmer, 100, Yardle Chemist, The Only Crazy Lady, Bunty, and other friends for joining us. We appreciate you. Hope you'll come back next time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Love you and God bless you. We'll see you later.
Bye, Eric. Love you
Same here, Dena.
too.
And Mike.
You too, Eric. Love you, brother.
You've been listening to Mike Tampa Bay on Podbean. This is episode 7. Boundaries every Tuesday on Podbean. Thank you for listening. Only on Mike Tampa Bay.